In a study conducted, 46% of respondents indicated that social media made them feel the need to change their appearance through plastic surgery. Another 89% in a different study said that by comparing themselves to what they saw on social media, they felt severe anxiety and depression. Other studies have shown that social media is harder to resist than nicotine. That is to say that social media management is very important, and that is where this video comes in. As always, I'm Angela, and this is the Angie Culture, your go-to hub for all things self-improvement and personal development. From the title of the video, we can tell that today's video is on how to manage social media wisely, how to use it wisely. The video is more on how to use it wisely rather than how to cut it out, because I personally believe that social media is a two-edged sword. It can make or break you depending on how you use it, depending on if you let it. And at the same time, whilst making you, it can be breaking you, right? So it's important to learn how to manage it. Unless you are in a situation where you're in a dire situation where what's best for you is to cut it out totally, then absolutely do so. Delete whichever apps you need to delete, deactivate whichever accounts you need to deactivate, and prioritize your mental health, if that is you. But if this is not you, then stick around. The first thing on how to use social media wisely is to break your social media addiction. Obviously, if you clicked on this video, it means that you have an addiction. As a matter of fact, studies have shown that over 60% of today's youth have a social media addiction. Obviously, there are levels to addiction, so yours may not be as terrible as on screen 247 hours a day, but regardless, the average hours people spend on social media has been shown to be 4 hours a day, averagely. And calculate how much that is in a year, and ultimately how much that would account for in your entire years on earth. That's going to be about 40 years of your life spent staring into a screen. And imagine that as you're staring into this screen, this 40 years of your life being spent staring into this screen is to receive positive information, is to improve you, is to make you better. And at the same time, imagine if these 40 years being spent staring at a screen is affecting your mental health, is making you feel less than, is making you worse. Further reiterating my point that it's very important how you are using social media. So by all means, stay till the end of the video. Also, at the end of the video, there's going to be a little reward for those of you who chose to stay, a little goodie bag, item 13. For those of you who chose to stay, so do stick around. So onto my point. Break your social media addiction. That is the first step. How? One thing I did when I was starting my social media decrement journey was I moved my social media applications onto the very last page of my home screen. You know what that does? That breaks the queue. If you read Atomic Habits by James Clear, once again I'm making reference to that book, it means that it's worth reading. What triggers habits? Through cues, right? Both positive and negative habits, they are triggered through cues. And cues can be so many different things. But for most people, for most social media lovers and users, it is seeing the app. Like literally when you pick up your phone and the first thing you see is Instagram, that ever so entertaining app, you would click on it. You understand? So by moving these apps from your home screen, you're not going to see that. That's not going to be the first thing you set eyes on. Also, it brings this friction. It gives you a second to think that, do I really want to go on this app though? You know, when you go on your screen to click on TikTok, for instance, and it's not there, the time it will take you to go and search for TikTok wherever else you've kept it is enough time for you to think that, what am I even going to do there? Come to think of it. And you might end up going to a more valuable app instead. You know, it creates that friction, which allows you more time to think. That friction is important because for most of us, clicking on Instagram, clicking on TikTok, what have you, has become muscle memory. That is why sometimes if you're absent-minded, you can pick up your phone to call your mom, your sister, your friend, whatever the case may be, and you find yourself on TikTok all of a sudden. Then you wonder, how did I get here? Right? I know it's not just me. So it's become muscle memory. Your brain does not even need to communicate to your hands, to your fingers to click on it. Your fingers already know the drill because you've been doing it for years, right? But if that app is not there, That is when it's like the names in your fingers have to go back to your central nervous system and ask, yo, it's not there. What's up? What am I gonna do? Where do I click? And that is where the friction comes in. Then you decide, okay, then I'll open Kindle instead. And you read some good books instead. So that is one of the major ways you can break the habit. Or for some people, literally take it from your home screen overall, depending on how grave your situation is. Literally take it from your home screen overall. That is, keep it in your library. Even for iPhone users, the library is still very accessible, but it's still helpful to not have it as the very first thing. Keep it in your library. If you're an Android user, even better, because you will have to go through more work to find it, because it wouldn't be as easily accessible as the iPhone library. Number 2 on how to manage social media wisely is curate your feed. This is where knowing yourself comes in. Before curating your feed overall, you must know yourself. Know the kind of things that trigger you to have negative emotions. Know the kind of things that trigger negative emotions in you. Know yourself. For example, there are people that when they go on social media and they see other people living lavish, chilling, spending big bucks, they compare to themselves and think, wow, I am living hand to mouth, minimum wage. And these people are spending God knows how much in a night. Then you start to feel despondent, disheartened, and what have you. Right? You start to feel sad and depressed. And there are other people that they see other people living lavish on social media. Wow, Anita and I were literally in the same soup. And she started her IG and now she's living lavish. Then they become more encouraged. Oh, then it means that I should step up my game. I should up my game. I should be on my 10 toes. You know, depending on which category you fall in, know how to curate your feed accordingly. If you fall into the former, where seeing these things make you feel less than, they're affecting your mental health, then I'm afraid you're gonna have to filter those things out of your feed and prioritize your mental health. If you fall in the latter, where seeing these things give you that kick in the right direction to up your game, to get off your bum and do harder, then by all means, keep those things in your feed. You understand? Hence why it's very important to know yourself, to be able to curate your feed. Also, social media, like I said, for some people, it's a necessary evil because perhaps that is where they consume all their information. That is where they get their daily news. That is where they learn. When I was very, I wouldn't say addicted, but I was very engaged, more interactive with social media. It was always YouTube I was on, and I was always watching videos, right? But they were educative videos, right? So in as much as I was spending several hours on the application, I was consuming positive information. So the only thing is that I'm substituting that for other things I should be doing physically rather than just staring at a screen, right? And it can lead to analysis paralysis and all of that. But my point is that if you're on social media for hours, but you are consuming good information, it's not as bad. It's not bad. Rather than you're on social media for hours and you are consuming negativity. It's like you're literally consuming a pill that will make you sick. You know this thing will make you ill, yet you're doing it. Human beings tend to have that nature anyway, right? Or you are just watching funny videos for hours, just getting that dopamine hit. But when it comes down to it, what value at all are you getting? Put them next to each other. Do the benefits of spending 4 hours of your day on social media just laughing outweigh the benefits of you actually setting that phone down for a bit and having human interactions? Or the benefits of you actually being on social media, all right, but consuming sensible information? Filter out toxicities, basically speaking, and replace that toxicities with sensible, valuable information. By all means, have something entertaining as well, but let them be equal, so that you're gaining knowledge at the same time, you are learning at the same time, when conversations are being had, you can contribute. Use it in such a way that it's forcing you to learn, it's improving you as a person. You understand? There's some sort of skill development. All these do my hair with me, these are educative content. You can learn the skills from watching all these braid my hair with me, or let's do my nails together, or whatever the case may be. It's entertaining, but it's educative. So for these type of things, for example, you can be watching them, right? But obviously, with everything, there's a limit. And how do you curate your feed? Follow sensible channels, essentially. The things that you want to improve in your life, follow people that are doing those things. Follow the channels that give information on how to do those things, on how to better yourself. Also, cookies. When you go on websites, all these websites that help you towards this your self-improvement journey, accept the cookies. Obviously, it takes time. After about a week, as you've been interacting with this kind of content, it's going to become the things that pop up on your social media feed. Then you've curated your content, and that is that. Moving on to the next point, and that is set time limits for how long you spend on social media. In as much as, wow, I'm learning, just like the example I gave earlier, I could see myself on YouTube for several hours watching videos upon videos upon videos upon videos. Fair enough, I'm consuming positive information, right? But my whole existence is not just about consuming information. There comes a time where I have to set the phone down and actually implement the information I'm consuming and actually take action. You understand? But mind you, all of these applications, TikTok, Instagram, blah, 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 what have you, right? They've been designed to keep you there because that is how they make their money, right? So you too must have a system, a hardcore method, the kind of hardcore method and money they've invested into keeping you there. That is the kind of hardcore method and effort you must put into leaving there when you want to. So utilize it to its full potential, but don't let it utilize you. Essentially, you need to put in hardcore methods and efforts to leave the app when you have to. And that is where these systems I'm coming to talk about come in. What are some of the things you can do? Have an accountability partner. Imagine if you're doing it with a friend, you are holding them accountable to. You are only going to be, let's say you're only going to be on TikTok for 30 minutes per moment, in a moment. You're not going to be on TikTok continuously for 4 hours. Because I know we do that. You're not going to be doing that. No. I'd have an accountability partner that would hold you accountable. You've been on it for so long. Go off that. The funny thing is that to leave the app, it's literally as tiny as tiny an action as that. Somehow we are able to do it when you're on the app. That is how addictive it is. I mean, it's been said to be more addictive than nicotine. Studies have proven. So obviously you need to up your game if you're competing with something that strong. It's as little as swiping up if you're an iPhone user or clicking home if you're an Android user. It's literally just one action, but it becomes so hard. It becomes like the hardest thing on the world. The hardest thing in the world when you're on these apps. And so much resources have been pumped into making it like that. So these developers make their money. Another thing you can do is make your journey to limit social media fun. For example, Jay Shetty said that he and his wife have something they call a no phone zone, where they put signs in one of those areas where you are not allowed to bring your phone in there. Like the bedroom, don't bring your phone there. That is quality human interaction time. Or the dining room, leave your phones out. You don't bring your phones in there. Leave your phones in the living room. Let's talk. Just this little 30 minutes we're gonna sit as a couple at the dining room and talk. Let's leave our phones out of the room and have one-to-one human interactions. When friends come over as well, they also have to leave their phones out of these specific rooms. So it becomes fun, right? These are some of the fun ways you can incorporate limiting your time on social media. And you can do this with friends as well. If you all plan an outing and you go out, you can all say, guys, for the first 20 minutes, or no, guys, for the first 1 hour of us being here, let's all put our phones away. You would have a designated bag where you all keep your phones in there, put it on silent, shut the bag, right? And just talk, be girls, giggle, laugh, right? Then after that 1 hour, give your phones back, because I know you have to take the pictures. But outside of all these things, there are apps. There are apps that can hold you to it, apps that would hold you accountable. Some of them are as strict as African parents when they say, you are not going on that app. When I tell you the app has blocked you from TikTok, it has blocked you from TikTok, like literally, you're not going through. There are apps like that. If you want to know what some of these applications are, stick to the end of the video. That's the little goodie bag I have prepared for you. Excellent. You've been doing these things. You move social media from your home screen successfully. Yay, hooray. You've been able to limit the amount of time you're spending on social media through your accountability partner and all that, so you're not there as much. Yay, hooray. But then, for years now, every time you pick your phone, you're on social media. So now that you've stopped that, you find that you have so much time in the world. You have like those 4 hours you would have been spending on social media. Now, what are you going to be doing during that time? Like, you'll find that, okay, I've put social media aside, but now it's like, what am I going to do on the phone now? Leading me on to my fourth point, that is replace the time spent on social media with something you love to do. because now you have all the time in the world. If you've lived in a country that experiences load shedding before, you'll know this. When all of a sudden the power goes off, your devices are all dead, no electricity, that sense of that sense of that sense of extreme boredom to the point of aimlessness. Like you have absolutely nothing to do. You are literally staring into space, right? When you first cut out social media, that is how your life will feel. You have all this time in the world, time you would have been spending on social media. You are not spending it there anymore. What are you gonna do? You know? Yeah, that's how it becomes. Hence why this step is very important. And it's not being talked about. All they say is do this, do this, do this, do this. But now you have all the time in the world. What are you gonna do with it? Replace it with something you love. That being said, my next video is going to be on the things to do instead of scrolling on social media. And it's going to be a must watch as a follow-up to this point. And if that's something you're interested in, by all means, click on the notification bell so that you don't miss it and you can watch it and incorporate it. Right. So replace it with something you love. You love soccer? Tell your friends. Go play some football. You love fashion? By all means, read some fashion magazines. I don't want to get ahead of myself. All of these things will be in the next video. So hit the notification bell if it's something you'll be interested in. The main takeaway from this point is that now that you have all this time, replace it with something you love. Else you just revert. You just revert to your old ways. It's like, this ever so enticing, exciting TikTok is literally just there staring at me, and I'm saying I wouldn't touch it, and instead I'm just staring into space. But if you've hidden TikTok, you're not seeing it, and you're doing something you love. Say you love to read, you love karaoke, and instead you are doing karaoke, you wouldn't miss it. You wouldn't notice its absence. It would be gone out of your mind like a toxic. Final point, which is kind of like a bonus. It's like a second bonus for those who stayed around till the end of the video. Is to say that prioritize your mental health. Granted, it might be hard, right? Because one thing I faced when I started to limit social media was that obviously people will keep sending you the funny memes. Your friends will keep sending you the funny memes, and for there's no response. So it's like, obviously I'm not active again. What's up? But prioritize your mental health. You have your reasons. You know how badly it's affecting you personally. So prioritize your mental health. In as much as you are limiting it, make sure that you are not limiting it to the point where you are losing out on friendships and you're not responding to people you should be responding to. And that is why I'm saying that you are managing it wisely. So you are limiting it for your own good, but not in a way that it's affecting your genuine valuable friendships. Yeah, not in a way that you are unreachable, not in a way that that is why these apps are important. If you have to go there to just respond to somebody's message, absolutely, like someone important's message, absolutely, you should go and respond to that important person's message and leave. Hence why being able to break the addiction is important, because if you're not addicted, you can leave, right? And that is where these applications I'm about to mention come in. When you go just to respond to somebody and you find yourself slacking, you've seen somebody dancing, you've seen a cat dancing, and you're about to get distracted. That is where these apps will come in and say, hey, what are you still doing here? You replied to that message ages ago, leave, come on. That is where these apps I'm about to talk about will come in. Ultimately, the main point here is prioritize your mental health. So the thing about mental health is that if your mental faculty is compromised, it affects everything. It affects your entire life. Your physical abilities, your physical health even becomes underutilized. Because obviously, the main boss, the central operating system, that is your mind, that is running the entire show, which is your body, has gone to rest, or is compromised, is upset, it's sad, or whatever the case may be. So it's like, if the boss is away, the workers are also away, essentially. That is why if you don't have motivation, that's why you can be hungry. But just because you lack the motivation to go and cook, you will literally allow your tummy rumble because there's absolutely no willingness to go and cook. Right. So that is how important making sure your mental faculty is in tip-top shape is. But it's not vice versa. If your physical state is compromised and your mind is sharp, your mind is ripe, you can still live a very efficient and fulfilled life. We see this with people with special needs. For example, like physical special needs, for example, where they are still living happy, blissful, efficient lives because the main boss is still ripe and alert. So if social media is trying to mess with your main boss, cut it out. And now time for the goodie bag. And these goodie bags are the apps that are going to help you limit the amount of time you're spending on social media. The accountability apps that will literally pull your bum back and say, hold on a minute, where are you going to? The first one I'm going to talk about is Flora. Flora plays on your emotions. Flora knows that obviously we are good people, we are not psychopaths, we have conscience. You don't want things to die, right? So it starts to create a tree the longer you are away from these apps, these allocated apps. A tree is being created, right? According to the amount of stipulated time you've set to be away from the apps. Once you break your promise and you go on the app, the tree dies. So you kill the innocent tree. And because it knows that obviously human beings were kind, good, compassionate people, you don't want your tree to die, that is the way it uses to keep you from going on the app, because you know that if I go, the tree will die and I don't want the tree to die, so you wouldn't go. It works for some people. The other one, that is for those of you that need that extra strictness, that extra sternness, is an app called Off-Screen Pro. And what this app does, this app is very, very strict. If you're on social media outside of your stipulated time you're supposed to be there, I tell you, that app, Instagram, TikTok, whichever app you stipulated, will literally close out of the blue. You try to open it again, a pop-up will show up from off screen. Like, what are you going to do there? You said you were not going to go there at this time. And there's an option to click, oh, emergency. Okay. You click emergency and you go on the app. 15 minutes later, the app will close again. Because in off screens, my 15 minutes should have been enough for you to sort out whichever emergency there was. It will close again. You try to open the app again. Again, I will ask you, what are you going to do there? Not in these exact words, but that's the intuition. What are you going to do there? You say, emergency, you're going to say hi to my friend. Come back. Look, you didn't even last there for 5 minutes. Instagram will close. That is how it works. It's very, very strict. There are certain hours of the day that you just won't open at all. You try to open Instagram and you just keep seeing a pop-up, not within your stipulated time. So it is strict like that. Off-Screen Pro, I'm going to put a link to these apps in my description box. Off-Screen Pro, I know that they are free apps. Off-Screen Pro comes for £1. Also very, 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 very affordable. Very affordable, which should be maybe $2 or $3 or something. It has other functionality like a Pomodoro session. So when you're in deep focused work, all of these applications are silenced, like they are more or less blocked. No notifications are coming through, no text messages, nothing. It is literally just you and your work within that stipulated time you have set. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, whatever the case may be. It blocks all of these things and allows you to focus. So I'll definitely recommend Flora and Off-Screen depending on your needs. If you need even more TLC, this is not even tender care. This is hard love. This is tough love. If you need more tough love type applications, I'm going to make a video on that. So keep your notification bells on. Click on them to get notified when these videos come up, so as to not miss out. And that's a wrap.